What was your first impression of Salt Lake when you got here?
Well, I came with preconceived notions, and I think that when I first got here, it all kind of wiped away, and I was like, oh my gosh, this city, it's a really cool city that really nobody knows about, or at least coming from the East Coast, you really don't hear a lot about Salt Lake City, and it was really interesting to see that while there may be preconceived notions, it's amazing. There's just a lot of diversity here, and I thought it was really cool and interesting, and a lot of art, and it was nice.
Showcasing local talent, professionals, and everyday people, making Salt Lake City what it is today. It's time for another episode of the I Am Salt Lake podcast.
All right, let's welcome everybody out today to episode 334 of I Am Salt Lake podcast. My name's Chris.
And my name's Chrissy.
Hey, let's welcome everybody to the podcast. First of all, many thanks for downloading it, checking it out. Welcome back. We're recording today out of our studios at Access Co-working Spaces, right in the heart of downtown Salt Lake City. Beautiful spot. If you ever get an opportunity, I'm serious, come down here and check it out, right on the corner of 200 South and 200 West.
If this is your first time here, you might be wondering, what is this podcast all about? Well, what we're here to do is to showcase some of the awesome people in Salt Lake City. Musicians, artists, business owners, restaurant owners, really anyone that might have a cool story.
Like today on the podcast, we get to sit down and have a great conversation with Eric Stone from the Salt Lake Barber Company.
We got to find out his story, which includes what got him into barbering, and eventually what led him to open up his own shop here in Salt Lake.
But before we jump into that interview, let's mention our sponsors for this episode. The very awesome, the very delicious Five Wives Vodka in Blip Billboards, a brand new sponsor for the podcast. We're going to be telling you more about them a little bit later on in the podcast. But I want to mention really quick the farmers market. It's farmers market season, and I know there's a lot of listeners that are here locally that have still never had a chance to visit the downtown Salt Lake City farmers market. First of all, go do yourself a favor. Go check it out. It's happening every Saturday from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Pioneer Park right in downtown Salt Lake City. Like I said, it's happening every Saturday all the way up until October 20th. There's tons of local artisans that are making some of the most amazing things and local farmers selling some of the best produce that you're ever going to taste. Plus, we're going to be there a handful of Saturdays through the season, so make sure you're connected with us on social media. That way you can find out more information about that.
And if you come down and visit us, I'll give you a free high five.
You heard it from Chrissy first.
But let's get into that conversation we had with Eric Stone, local Salt Lake City barber. Thank you so much for listening. Enjoy.
What did your childhood smell like, Eric?
Well, my childhood definitely surrounded sweets. I have a big sweet tooth. So anything chocolate, my parents used to make this awesome chocolate pudding cake that, that bake it up and it would be like a brownie on top, but then like a little chocolate pudding on the bottom. Wow. And then you just serve it with some just French vanilla ice cream, and that was absolutely fantastic.
Did you have a big family, or were you an only child? Or?
No, we have a small family. It's just me, my mom, my dad, and my sister. So there's only 4 of us in our immediate family. We have other family out here in Utah as well.
Is that kind of what? Because you're not from Utah, right? You're from California.
I'm not from Utah. I'm from California. So technically, I was born in Ogden.
Okay. Oh, really?
So O-Town, and then lived out here till I was about 8 years old, and that's when we moved down to California, little city called Redlands, California.
Yeah.
And spent about 13 years out there, grade school, a little bit of college, and then moved back here in 2007.
What made you move back here?
Oh, a number of things, I would say. I mean, family was definitely a big factor. Mm-hmm. I mean, definitely have a good cornerstone here if I ever got myself in a bind or something like that. But just wanted to change a pace, really.
From California.
From California. The busyness of California, really. I was wanting to go out on my own, and so like the cost of living was a lot cheaper.
Oh yeah.
I didn't mind the seasons. I used to snowboard a lot more than I do now, and so I didn't mind the cold. And
now, why don't you snowboard a lot still?
Well, one, it's expensive.
Well, yeah, okay.
It's expensive to get a pass.
Being a barber, you can set your own hours, man.
True.
You could do your own thing when you want to do it. You could take off in the middle of the day, go hit up the canyons,
that'd be so nice.
And then come back and cut hair.
But I think that's the other thing too. Being a barber, I mean, you're working with your hands.
True, you don't want to break them.
Oh, man,
so if I were to break a wrist or twist a knee or break an ankle to where I can't walk or anything like that, it puts me out of commission for work. And
Do you worry about that a lot? Like as like a day-to-day thing? Is that something you're constantly thinking about?
I wouldn't think so. I would say I just kind of live my day to day just the way I want to live it.
Make sure you don't do stuff that you're
anything big like that.
No extreme sports.
No extreme sports. I think
fair.
the most extreme I've gotten so far, I mean, probably about a month and a half ago, I did some canyoneering down in Zion, and that was probably the most extreme I've been in the last few years.
Well, I would imagine like skateboarding. I used to skateboard a lot, right? And you'd always fall on your wrists, right? And oh man, that would be the worst.
And honestly, we're getting older and everything hurts without falling.
Yes.
So
the recovery time is much
falling
longer.
on top of it, it's going to hurt forever if
Plus,
you break
you just
something
look
right now.
silly on some of that stuff as older, right? You're like, oh, look at that funny old man on the snowboard, right? Like
falling every 20, 30 feet, right?
So growing up, what did you want to be as a kid? Did you always want to be a barber, or like did you want to be a policeman, or what?
No, definitely
Neither
didn't
of
want
those
a policeman.
things.
Nope,
See, I wanted to be a cop when I was a kid, man.
When I was growing up, I wanted to be. I mean, I think I was reading some of my school notes when I went back to California and was looking through some storage, grabbing some storage from my dad's storage unit, and so I saw a whole bunch of like old school school notes and papers and stuff like that. And I think I wanted to be a pilot. Okay, like in airlines, right? Like commercial or fighter jets and stuff like that. And so, because at one point I wanted to join the Air Force just because I wanted to learn how to fly.
That's what every guy wants to join the military, I think, right? Maybe
some girls too.
Some girls, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that evolved, especially after high school, being so involved with sports and stuff like that. I wanted to do with like athletic training, physical therapy. And so that's what I initially went to during college. My first junior college, did a few athletic training classes and got within the athletic training system within the college I was at. And
so what does that consist of? I mean, you look like an athletic guy. You have like a build like you would be out on the football field.
Thank you.
I mean, is that a compliment? I don't know. It's a compliment.
I think so. I mean, it's better than saying, "Wow, look at that! Look at that!
You've got a.
I mean, I played a lot.
You should be on the
I played
couch.
a lot of sports when I was in high school, and
like a couch guy.
I was just so fascinated with it. Being able to be an athletic trainer and like always traveling with the team. And you're always there with the team, day in and day out, doing. Whether it be preparing for a game or practice, wrapping people's ankles and doing all that kind of stuff. It was really intriguing to me. And then, so I did that for a few years in college. And then that's when I actually decided to move out to Utah, and I was going to go to the University of Utah, but there was a lot of credits that did not transfer. For some reason, I guess that's just state to state.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I don't really understand that. I don't really understand it in that sense.
Most colleges and universities are that way, where if you transfer a lot of people lose a lot of their stuff, man. It sucks.
Mm-hmm. And so I had to go to Slick for about a semester. So I did that. And then I just kind of lost interest. And so I didn't really know what I wanted to do after that. So I was like, I don't want to go back to school and like pay all that money just for not knowing what I wanted to do. And so that's when I just kind of got into like the restaurant industry and started,
like, where were you working at? Like what restaurant? Around town here?
Yeah. So I was working right downtown, just a few blocks away from here. It's called Typhoon.
Dude, I think I probably had you as a server one time, man. I was like, you know what? That's probably where I know this guy. Because when I first saw you, I was like, that guy looks familiar. He's cutting hair. And now
I was there for a few years, and it was a good time. It was my first like serving job.
Did you like it?
I loved it. Absolutely. I mean, if anybody who's in the service industry knows, it's kind of like a work hard, play hard type of lifestyle.
Yeah,
especially
it'd be
being
tough
like a young
work.
kid.
Let me ask you a question while we're on that tip, though, really quick before I forget. People in Utah, do they know how to tip? I hear they don't. I mean, I guess
there
in the barber industry,
there
though,
are groups of people in Utah that don't know how to tip properly.
And I know you're not out to. I'm not here to get you to get enemies, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I don't really care.
But I hear that from servers at restaurants. They're like, I'll have, a $200 tip and get a $5 or a $200 bill and I'll get a $5 tip. And I'm just
I honestly think some people just don't know how to tip. Like, this is going to be so girly, but I went out with all my sisters this last week and we got our nails did. And then at the end, all my sisters were like, how much do you tip? I don't know. They're standing around all nervous.
What do you tip in case when I get my nails done?
I don't know. I just gave them all the cash in my wallet.
Don't know how much that was.
That's my rule.
Hey, that person's having a good day.
But it is. It's like you don't learn that
Okay,
anywhere.
well, let's jump forward just a titch and then we'll go backwards.
Okay.
You're a barber, obviously. You know, we mentioned it in the intro when we did this, but you're a barber. I've discovered a lot of people don't even realize you tip a barber. I talk to people and they're like, you tip a barber? I'm like, what? Is it not, do you not tip a barber?
No, I mean, you don't have to tip a barber. Me personally, I don't mind if you don't tip.
Really?
Not saying that.
You don't get insulted?
I don't get insulted just because they're already spending that money to come and see me, wherein they can actually be going to another shop and paying somebody else.
Okay.
And since all that money's coming to me anyway, for the most part, you know.
True.
Then I don't mind them not tipping.
Okay.
For the most part. Like when I was serving, yes, because you're not getting a full amount of what.
Because you're making what, like $2 an hour or something?
Yeah.
Is it $2.15
With
an
serving,
hour?
it's-
And they
it's all
tried to raise
tips.
it, but that hasn't happened.
Yeah.
And so you depend on your tips.
Okay.
Whereas with barbering, you're essentially getting, whether it be commission or booth rent, you're getting most of that money to yourself anyway. And so
And I know we're jumping ahead there, but I figured, hey, we're talking tips. Let's bring that up.
I mean,
Why?
it's fascinating. You've worked in multiple service industries, and so you kind of have dealt with that across a different kind of spectrum too.
Yep.
So
Most of my work career has been within like customer service area, and that's one of the reasons why I chose barbering as well.
Well, let's get into barbering because that's obviously why you're here. You're a barber and co-owner, I guess, of the Salt Lake Barber Company, right? Isaac Tencio, we had him on. I wrote it down here, episode 317. So he's your partner, right?
He's my business partner. One of my best friends.
One of your best friends. Great guy. Cuts my hair. So maybe would Isaac be upset if I let you cut my hair one time?
Not at all.
Would you cut my hair one time?
And I don't care if he would either. So
you don't care if I would what? Get my hair?
if he got upset about it.
Oh,
But no,
I don't know. I think it would be fun. I've always, there's a thing like back in my Supercuts day, right? You'd go in and you just get anybody, right?
anybody who's available.
But,
yeah.
and of course, 90% of the time is a crappy haircut, but I think I'd get a good haircut from you.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like with us and the way we are in our shop is like you can come to anybody. Everybody knows how to cut in our shop, and we don't care. You can go to anybody in the shop. We have clients that are always sharing different barbers in our shop, and it's just good to see those same faces. Good to see that repeat clientele because you build that relationship with everybody. And when that happens, like if one of my clients were supposed to go to somebody else, it's kind of cool because I can start a conversation with them with the client that I have in my chair, and then you start getting that like barbershop banter.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why we designed our shop, because that's what the barbershop's all about. Like everybody's having fun. You're getting your hair cut. You're just shooting the shit, and chatting with everybody, and everybody else can banter, whether it be barbers or clients or people waiting in the waiting area, people who stop in. We have people that just stop in just to hang out for 15, 20 minutes and just chat with us. So
their shop, Chrissy hasn't been there.
I haven't
yet,
been
but,
there. I need to. It sounds like I need to go hang out and chat.
It's a beautiful spot. I remember the first time I walked in here, I'm like, holy cow. Like you wouldn't expect that, like for some reason off the street. Like just walk in. I don't know. I don't know what I expected, but I'm just like, wow, this place is legit. I mean, let's talk about this for a minute. Let's back up a little bit to barbering. Like when did it hit you? I want to become a barber. Like when did that moment hit you?
I would say the moment it hit me, it was probably back in probably winter of 2011 is when I kind of started thinking about doing barbering. I was kind of stuck in a spot where I wasn't happy with my work. I was doing okay for myself, but just mentally wasn't happy. I was working a lot of hours and stuff like that, and I just needed to make a change. And I've always wanted to be my own boss, create my own hours, and that's one main thing about barbering. And I actually had a friend who had bought a straight razor, and we were like kind of geeking out over it and stuff like that. Wanted to learn how to shave with it and stuff like that. And we actually wanted to open like a haberdashery and shave shop. And we have like the haberdashery with like a men's boutique kind of thing, like tailors and watches and all that kind of stuff, cigars, whatever it may be, and then shave as well. And so I was on the search for how do I go to learn how to shave people. And I was going to my barber at the time and kind of asking him how he got into what he was doing and like what kind of his passion was for barbering and stuff like that. And that kind of progressed over the next couple months. And then I think I started barber school in March of 2012.
Okay. That was same year this podcast started, man. 2012. Wow.
Good year.
So
It was a good
Did you
year.
go to the one just right down 7200 South? Is that
Yep,
the one you went to right
same.
here? The famous one here in
The
Utah?
famous barber school.
What was that Tim Height?
Tim Height, yep.
Yeah,
he was
man.
the starter of it. And then
Did any of your friends let you try shaving them before you had any training?
Oh, hell no.
Okay. I don't know how
want
that works.
to take
Like a
that
straight
on.
razor?
Yeah,
I was,
straight
I was
razor
way
shave.
too nervous. I was like, no,
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to put a razor to somebody's face and either make him go to the hospital or
Accidentally Todd Sweeney him?
just, yeah, right?
Do you still get?
I will have no more friends after that.
Do you still get nervous when you do a straight razor shave?
No.
Oh, well, I guess
Not at all.
yeah. You're probably not going to say that on the microphone.
And I mean, that was one
So
reason.
how many people have you killed? Okay, I'm
Well,
sorry.
no. When we
That's completely
had
inappropriate.
Kylie on the podcast, and
Yeah.
Chrissy promised that she would get a straight razor.
I'm still going to.
I listened to that podcast the
Yeah.
other day and I heard about it. I was like, yeah. Have you gone in and
I
done
gotta
that
grow.
quite
I
yet?
gotta grow my goatee out just a little bit.
Well, no. See, the thing is I want to get a straight razor shave, but I'm like, I got a beard.
True.
And if I do get it, maybe I'll get it. There was a guy at the beard competition that got a straight razor shave. He was saying like recent because he was one of the judges.
Okay.
And he had to just recently shave his beard. And he said a straight razor shave, like he had a beard probably said about my size, and he said he went and got it professionally taken off with a straight razor. He said it's wonderful.
It's one of the best feelings in the world, in my
Yeah.
opinion. I don't do straight razor shaves on myself a lot. I usually just do my cheeks, but I haven't had a full straight razor shave since barber school, I think, or maybe a year into actually barbering in a shop, just because I break out really easily and get a lot of like ingrown hairs and razor burn and stuff like that. That's just the way my skin reacts. But the feeling with like the oils and the lather and the hot towels and everything like that, it's truly like
That's
a
what I hear. The hot
one-in-a-lifetime
towels
experience,
is like
for sure.
the way to do
And
it.
now that I'm thinking about it, I mean, Isaac does that with me when he'll clean up my line, what is it, cheek lines or whatever, right, with the straight razor and do some other stuff, and then wrap my heads in the towel. I mean, you guys do a legit service down there. Like, if a guy has not been, if you're a guy listening to this right now, go get and if you've never been to a real barbershop, I mean, that is a guy thing. You got to do it. I mean, I guess is that bad? That's probably not.
No,
is
that's not bad to say.
A bad thing to, but
Not
no,
at
I mean,
all.
seriously, like guys, typically we kind of give ourselves the shaft.
It's
At least
true.
It goes back to the mall hair. You know what I'm talking.
You need to
all
have
the-
some self-care too.
Yeah, like going to a
pamper
legit
yourself.
barber
Treat
shop.
yourself.
And I'll
Yeah.
tell you,
Treat
the
yourself
first
every now and
time,
then.
like I got a hot towel. I'm like, okay, we can lay it in. Just let's stay here for a little longer. No, seriously. So, sorry, I get on no, 'cause I love barbershops. Like
You
I seriously,
do. It's true.
I used to hate haircuts. I legit hated them.
And I heard, I think, at least I heard on the podcast that you, at one point, you said you were thought about being a barber.
Yeah, man.
You know what I heard?
Yep, we actually went in and talked to him and
yeah,
stuff.
I don't. It's kind. I mean, I don't. I'm 40 years old, man. Like, I don't know if that's a good
It's
idea.
never too late.
I guess, and I know people. I mean, I really think I would have fun with it. I think I would have
Yeah.
fun being a barber. It's just, it's a lot of work, and at first, man, just because there's a lot, you have to put a lot of hours that you're not making any money.
And I think I was
True.
pregnant when you started thinking about it. And
Yeah.
I don't know. Life got carried away.
It's bad timing, maybe.
Did you enjoy it though? Like when you so let's we kind of get this is a podcast, right? We go on different tangents, but
Hey, weird conversations is what we're all about.
so you started barber school. You're going to bar. How long did it take you? About a year, right?
It took me about 6.5, 7 months.
Were you going full time or did you work?
So in the beginning, I was only going part time because I was working full time up in Park City, and so I would do Park City like during the day. Then I drive down to barber school like right after,
Oh,
and
wow.
do like the night classes for a little bit. But then once the season started to slow down, switch my schedule to where I can go to like barber school full time, and then have then my other job do that part time. Just essentially, just from then on, just kind of stuck with full time and just rearranged my schedule to where. And minimize my life, I felt like.
Yeah.
My free time, just so I can get it finished.
Yeah, well, that's what I hear from a lot of people. I've talked to a handful of barbers about it, and they say a lot of times they'll start part time, but then go into full time because they're like, I just want to get this done.
You wanna knock
You
it
want
out.
to get it done. You want to get it over with. It was definitely a lot of fun in barber school, but it was just time. Like it takes away from like the rest of your life,
And if I'm not,
as any school does,
Right,
Any
yeah.
schooling does.
and we've talked to a few people, obviously went to the same school, so I mean, I don't want to kind of people can go listen to those episodes if you really want to get into the nitty gritty of the school. But is it pretty easy to find work after you graduate here in Utah?
I would say it would be, maybe not as much now, just because like the market is getting
Oversaturated.
a little saturated. I mean, the barber school has been around. Oh my goodness, I might get this number wrong, but I think it's been around like 8-9 years. 8 years.
Let me check your facts.
A while. It's been around a while.
I'm not really good with that kind of stuff, so
Well, I just checked and you were wrong. No,
that's fine. I have the worst memory in the world anyway, so.
It's a renowned school, so people come from everywhere.
So when you
Yes, they do.
started, the barber scene was not as saturated as it is now.
I wouldn't say as much. There were barbershops in Salt Lake and in the Valley and everything like that. I mean, I was going to a barbershop when I first started going to barber school. And I was talking to my barber, Marshall, who is an amazing barber and amazing person in general. And he was the one that really, I talked with him every time I would go into the shop, and he really inspired me to like start barber school.
Yeah.
Just
Like, he was
hearing
kinda your
his
mentor?
story. He was kind of my mentor.
Yeah.
And I always looked up to him. And whenever, even during barber school, I would come get my haircut by him. Always asking him questions, asking him like about technique or philosophy on barbering and life and stuff like that. And I think that he was a big influential part of me going to school.
Do you still hang out with him at all, or?
Not as much as I used to. We're both so busy. I mean, he has his own little studio out here, and of course we have our shop, and so we're both so busy. But we've been trying to, me, him, and another barber. We always like to try to get together every like month or 2 months and sit down and chat and just shoot the shit with each other for a couple hours, catch up.
I was actually talking, maybe it was even Isaac that I was talking with, and because I was like, somehow we got in a conversation, you were talking about hanging out with other barbers, and I found out from him, like, you guys hang out from other shops. I was like,
yeah,
you guys don't
definitely.
fight each other, you know?
Oh,
Like,
no, I mean, and that's the main thing. Like, we're all friends. I mean, we all went to the same school, you know, so
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that we went to school with that opened up shops within the city. And so it's easy to, like, be friends with all the shops. I mean, obviously there's a little bit of a competition there just because, you know, you want your shop to do well, but at the same time, it's very friendly. Like, if we're busy, we'll send people to, we'll like
Someone
suggest
who
a
knows
few
good.
other shops to say, hey, go check these guys out. These guys are really good. They'll take real good care of you. And then, yeah, we get to see each other out and about, whether it be barber competitions or classes. There's a few of us that do like a weekly, like barber night downtown bar, just have some drinks and chat and have a good time.
You have your own little community.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
awesome.
It's fantastic.
Let's actually take a quick break. This is a good spot to take a quick break to play a message from our sponsors. And then I want to get into kind of when the Salt Lake Barber Company started that whole idea. So hang tight. We'll be right back. All right, it's that time of the podcast where I take a couple minutes of your time, tell you about our awesome sponsors. These are some great local businesses that are helping support us. So when you support them, you're supporting the podcast. Hey, we have a brand new sponsor for this episode. I'm really excited to tell you about Blip Billboards, blipbillboards.com. I know you've seen them when you've driven up and down I-15. You've seen the big digital billboards on the side of the road. And let me tell you what, this is a great way for small businesses in the Salt Lake Valley to get their name and get the word out and get what their business is all about out to thousands of new people. And rather than having a typical month-long contract that can cost you thousands of dollars and only have them up on one location, the Blip digital billboards actually sells per flip, aka a blip, on digital billboards. A blip is anywhere from 7.5 to 10 seconds, depending on the billboard, and one of these blips can go for as little as 1 penny. You can be specific on which board you want to advertise on, local or nationwide, and the times that you want to advertise. You only pay for the time you want your message to be up. You name your price. There's no minimum. There's no contracts. This is a great way for you to gain awareness, get your brand name out there to as many people as you can. I Am Salt Lake Podcast. We're actually in the process right now of a billboard campaign, and it has been an amazing experience working with Blip Billboards. Really easy to get it up. A lot of times, you know, they say they can get it approved in the same day, which was true for I Am Salt Lake. And we've actually changed our billboard, which is really easy to do. You can do that as many times as you want. So you can put a new billboard up every day. It's a really easy way to do it. You get to target your market. You can advertise like your restaurant meal times, air conditioning on hot days. Blip makes billboards more targeted, customizable, and more affordable than anyone else out there. They have really great customer service that's helpful with strategy and advice on the campaign. Head on over to blipbillboards.com Check it out. Really super fast turnaround. And this is a great way in helping build your brand. Again, blipbillboards.com, and many thanks to them for sponsoring this episode of the podcast. All right, this episode of the podcast is also sponsored by Five Wives Vodka. You know, when you're in Texas, you can drink Tito's, but when you're here in Utah, you better be drinking Five Wives Vodka. So the next time you're at your local bar or state liquor store, make sure to ask for Five Wives Vodka by name. You know, there's actually 3 different flavors of Five Wives Vodka. I want to tell you a little bit about them, as a lot of you, you're familiar with the original flavor. I know that's what you usually grab when you go to the liquor store, but I'm going to tell you about all 3. They have the original Five Wives Vodka. This is made from the Utah mountain spring water. It's 100% distilled corn spirit, and it's gluten-free. The spring is hidden up in beautiful Ogden Canyon, which is inaccessible by vehicle, so the water is actually hiked out 5 gallons at a time. They have the Five Wives Sinful, which is a flavored vodka with a delicious cinnamon taste. And unlike other cinnamon products that give you a cinnamon candy taste, Sinful is like a morning cinnamon roll with only 76 calories per ounce. They also have the Five Wives Heavenly, which is a flavored vodka with a delicious vanilla taste. Heavenly's rich, buttery vanilla flavor comes through without coating your taste buds with sugar, and this results in more vanilla and less calories. You can pick up Five Wives Vodka at any of your local state liquor stores, your local DABC. Make sure to pick up an extra bottle. That way, when you get invited out to your buddy's barbecue, you could take them a bottle and you'll be the life of the party. Head on over to their website, fivewivesvodka.com, for more information about them, recipes, and all other kinds of cool stuff. And many thanks to Five Wives Vodka for sponsoring this episode of the podcast. To kind of fast forward a little bit to Salt Lake Barber Salt Lake Barber Company, how many shops did you work in before that? Or is that kind of a tough question to answer?
No, right out of high school. Right. What am I talking about? Right out of barber school, I started at Ray's Barbershop downtown.
Okay, see, I hear everybody starts there.
Yep, it's a good spot to kind of get your foot in the door. A lot of traffic, a lot of foot traffic, so you get a lot of clientele, and so you get a lot of practice. And so that's kind of when you really learn how to start barbering. Like, they teach you like all the technical stuff and a little bit of the business stuff like in the school, but once you get outside of the shop, like you learn from each other. You learn from other barbers that have been more experienced than you, that have been in the shop for years and years. So worked there for about a year, and then moved over to a different shop for a few years, and then
went to do your own thing.
And then right after that, we decided to do our own thing, and we actually just had our year anniversary on the 16th.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Well, thank you, sir.
No, back up just a little bit to like Ray's. How was it your first haircut? I mean, I guess you probably did a bunch of them before you went out to like a place like Ray's, right? Because you probably
had to do so many hours.
Yeah,
I would assume.
I was just wondering how that first haircut was, right? Like unsupervised haircut, right? Like,
it was nerve-wracking.
Were you nervous?
Oh yeah. I think the first week I was like just on nerves on end. Like,
what? Yeah. Just that you're going to screw up someone's hair or what?
Yeah. Get bad reviews, not want to come back to me. You get. I think every person get those.
My whole career is. How did you get over it? Just
practice.
Because and like when you're doing someone's hair, if you accidentally screw up, that's kind of a big deal.
Most people's hair will grow, though.
It is, and it isn't.
Will. But like, what if you accidentally nicked an area and you're like, well, I better even the whole thing out now.
Just get a little more gel and just kind of.
Depending on how bad you do it, yes, there can be some really bad haircuts you put out, but there are most things that if you were to like nick something, you can easily fix it.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing for me, and then again, like what Marsha has told me, is like, you know what, you're the professional. Like, the customer doesn't really know what a good haircut is, quotations of.
Oh, I know what a good haircut is.
Yeah, we'll see next. Now you do. Because even when I was doing those cuts, and I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, like, man, I don't know if I really like that haircut. I don't think I did a good job. And they're just like, oh yeah, this is the best haircut I've ever had. Thank you so much. And I'm like, okay. So it kind of helps like boost your confidence a little bit. And I think the more like the weeks go by, the days go by, that
you start to develop your own style a little bit.
Your own style, your own techniques.
Yeah.
Get a little bit more comfortable in your station. So
that's awesome.
With your tools.
I think every guy should go to a barber. I'm going to put you on blast right here.
Let's do it, man.
But before I met Chris, I saw pictures of him and he just shaved his head. all the time.
No, I didn't. That wasn't like a norm. It used
all
to be
the
like
time.
really shaggy. And
You got pictures of that?
Yes, I do, and they're terrifying. Like, you look like a serial killer.
it was when I gave up on life. I was in a I was in a different relationship. You know what I mean? Like, she didn't care about me. I didn't care about her. We were just living,
But it makes like huge difference to have a nice gentleman's haircut.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like it changes.
a lot of times,
person.
especially guys, like with me, I have such thick hair, right? We don't know what to do with our hair. Right. But yet we know we want it to, we're like, what do we do? We don't want it to be, stupid.
Yep.
And then especially with a beard, you got to have, certain, I don't know.
And going to the barber is the best thing because obviously we have the experience and we see all the styles and we practice all the styles. And even if you don't know what you want to do, we can help you. We can help guide you in the direction to what would look good with what you have going on.
How did you meet Isaac?
So I met Isaac. It was at the second shop that we were working at.
Okay.
He came through and started doing like all like our laundry and stuff like that while he was going to barber school. And
Did you hit it off with him right away or no?
yeah, I mean, we're both very easygoing guys, and so I think we became friends like pretty right off the bat. And then he like started working full time in the shop, and we were doing everything together at that point. Like
the bosom buddies, right? Like just hanging out.
We were hanging out and going a whole bunch of stuff, like me, him, and a few other the barbers and everything like that, and just became really good friends after that.
So at what point did you say, like, who was it first? I was like, we should open up a shop. Was it you or him?
It was
or was
Isaac.
it okay.
It was
I
Isaac,
mean, well,
for sure.
I put him on the spot. I can't remember.
I'll put him
I
on the
can't
spot.
remember if we
That's a
asked
big
him.
commitment to go into
if we
business with a
asked him,
friend.
that on the pod. Did we ask I can't remember. I should have listened to Isaac before this. But so he brought up. He said we should open up our own shop. What did you think?
Obviously, my first initial thought was,
We're not ready.
maybe not. We're not ready, but like, okay, well, what do you have?
Okay.
Like, what are you thinking? More so than anything, I've trusted him as like a friend. He's a great barber. He's a great businessman. He's great with people in general. You know that you've talked to him before. Our initial plan was to maybe open up something like way down the road, year and a half, and then just some things happened with that shop that we were at,
Kind of moved along.
More so, just kind of forced our hand to make a move sooner.
That's kind of the dream of most barbers, right? Like to open up their own shop.
Yep.
I mean, I've noticed that. They'll start at one shop and then kind of
to evolve, and that's the thing in the business, and that's what's great about, again, us being friends with everybody. As you can see, like I'm wearing a shirt from a different barber shop. Because I like to support my friends and stuff like that. So
well, and I've noticed that too. Like you were like I've had Kylie on the podcast.
Yeah.
You mentioned you were friends with her,
Love Kylie.
and I mean we were just again at the beard competition yesterday that she kind of put on, and I think it's good to support each other, really. And,
absolutely,
and,
we're all in here for the same reason. We're all in here for the money, for the respect, for the for the friendship,
and
for
like
the camaraderie.
building up other people is never going to be bad.
Not at all.
Right?
We
It's
all
never
got to
going
eat.
to hurt you.
We're all going to eat.
Yeah.
There's enough for everybody.
So
That's what it really is.
What is it? Because if you open up your own shop, obviously you don't have to pay a cut, right, to the other shop. Is that typical? Because like, does a barber rent a chair, or because I know like in your shop, or would you rather not get into that? Or
No, I mean I don't mind. I mean it's kind of public knowledge sometimes.
Yeah.
You can either go into. I mean if you really like looked into it, you could either do it a commission base or a booth rent base for your shop. We personally do a booth rent space because we feel that gives the barber the most control of their own business because they all are independent contractors. So they can make their own hours. They pay us a certain cut per month, and then they can do what they want with their schedule and what they want with like vacations. Like we're not going to say, hey, you can only have 14 days of vacation. We're like, if you want to take a month off, take a month off.
Because they're still paying you for the
Because you're still paying us for the booth. So, and as for me and Isaac, we treat ourselves like barbers. So we have the business, but we treat ourselves as barbers in the business as well.
What do you mean by that?
So we chip in.
Okay.
So we pay a booth rent as well to the business.
If they're paying a booth rent, you obviously have to get along with these guys. I mean, can you get rid of them if you want?
Can you fire them?
Because you're not really their boss, right? Or are you their boss, or what?
Well, we don't want to get rid of anybody. We love everybody we work with.
I know, but I mean, I'm sure occasionally you could have like the wrong person come in. And,
technically, yes, but also technically, no.
yeah, I guess that's a weird question. That's a weird question.
We're asking
It's a very gray area within like the laws of barbershops. So
right? Yeah.
Okay, so here's a question. Just I like to even get into people listening, entrepreneur type people, business owner type people, not necessarily barbers, because I'm sure there's people listening like, I don't care about barbers, and they as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, you start a business, right? What was like the hardest part about starting a business for you, like the main general thing, or was there a main thing?
I feel like, there was a few along the way. Yeah, for sure. We knew that our clients would follow us.
Okay.
Because while we were building out, we were still working full time. Mm-hmm. And so we're doing full time build out, full time working. I would say the biggest thing was probably funding in the beginning, and then also just the build out. Like it was tough. We did most of this work ourselves with the help from a few of
to the building, like the
like with all the insides, all the
Okay.
guts and stuff like that. The only things we really didn't do is like the electrical, the plumbing.
Was that place pretty trashed or what?
It wasn't in the best condition.
Really?
And so, we had to do some work, had to pretty it up a little bit. And,
And that's a lot of work.
it was
that's
a lot of
of work.
for sure.
Yeah.
It's a great location too for people listening that they're like, oh, where are they at? You were like kind of right across the street from the old Sears there, right on the corner of 800 South and Main Street.
Yep, correct.
10 East Main Street, or 10 East
10
800
East, 800 South.
One thing I like about your shop, and again, you probably didn't really realize all this necessarily when you first got it, but parking isn't a problem. A lot of barbershops I've run into, parking can be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a good location. It's easy to get to. Did you put all that into, like, when you saw it, did you think about all that, or what was the
Absolutely.
selling point for you?
When me and Isaac started looking at locations to open up the shop, we looked at a few different ones, and then had talked to some local business owners around the areas, and we realized that spot was probably the best option. When Isaac first showed me that spot, I looked at him like, you sure you want to do this here?
A little skeptical.
Let's take a walk. Let's take a walk around. And then we saw the space, and we realized like what was going to happen to that area of the city. Mm-hmm. The Central 9th District is what they're calling it now, I suppose. And we knew that the Sears was going to be going away at some point, and they're going to be doing some redevelopment over there. You had that tin well that was coming in. And so there was all these little businesses that were growing around that area. And we're like, you know what?
It's a good time to get in.
8th South is a super busy street. I didn't know that until we started working over there, like working like the build out. And I was sitting there, I was like, man,
a lot of traffic.
There's a lot of cars that come by the spot. So at that point, we were like, this is it. This is where we're going to start. And it's kind of went from there.
And then you opened up and you started cutting hair. What's been like the most rewarding thing for you being a barber?
The most rewarding thing, I would say, is being able to see people all day.
Yeah.
I like talking to all my clients, everyone that comes in. It's so nice. Like the ones that are new, the ones that are always coming in every month or every 2 weeks or whatever it may be, just talking with those people and having that connection with them, and knowing that when they come in, like it's their time. If they want to sit and not talk, they can just sit there and not talk. And like, that's their like 30 to 45 minutes of just like,
it's like therapy, man.
Shutdown time for them and meditation for them. But if they want to talk and shoot the shit and talk about whatever they want to talk about, we're there for that too. And so being able to do that, and then being able to like talk with, have the family kind of essence of our shop and the friendships from the other shops, be able to, the camaraderie is really nice between all of us, because we all have a good time together. There are times where we'll be working all day, and at the end of the day, we're just sitting in the shop, just kind of shooting the shit for like a little bit
before
we head home.
Yeah.
With like a glass of whiskey or a beer or something like that.
Here's something that I just thought of, and I've always been curious of this, because whatever barber I've gone to, it's like they can remember almost exactly, well, not almost, they can remember exactly what kind of haircut I get. Like, do they teach you something like how to remember people like that? Like, how do you remember how to cut so many hair?
I think
does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm asking some weird questions, I guess.
No,
that's a good question.
But I've always wondered that. Like, how do you remember how to cut my hair?
I think it's mainly just the repetition.
Yeah.
The more you come in, the more we understand what you want. Mm-hmm. And so we just do that haircut every time. And so
until they say change it.
Yeah, until they say change it. And then they'll bring in a picture of something different that they want to try. And like, that's the best thing for us. Like, if you bring a picture, like, that's the best reference, because like, okay, you want that? You sure you want that short or that long on top, or the size or whatever?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to give you that right now.
Because you probably get people coming in trying to explain what they want, but they
they don't know the
explain it
terminology,
completely wrong.
and so
yeah.
there's a lot of like a little shorter, a little short on the sides, a little longer on top, which is generally how you do a
That's
haircut
kind
anyway.
of just a haircut in general. Yeah.
And so like being able to like give them the terminology and talk to them about what they want, and kind of educate them on like how they should be styling their hair and stuff like that to best suit their style, their hair, like depending on what type of hair they have.
Yeah.
Or
even like their face shape. Do you ever kind of help them decide what kind of shape their hair, like this style would look best with your face?
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
a lot
of like men's haircuts are very like square. And,
yeah.
You got the square like masculine,
more masculine
features and stuff like that. So you kind of focus it around that, but then.
Now, was it you, or is there's somebody at your shop? Maybe it's you that like does all kinds of cool like shaves in like cool pictures in their hair. Like if you want.
And will they give Chris steps?
Well, I've had steps. I've had a lightning bolt one time. Could you do that kind of stuff there? Cool, like Michael Jordan. Like.
I can't get with the MJ, but I could do very simple stuff.
But it's not you. I swear, somebody at your shop does.
There was a gentleman who worked in our shop for a little bit that was able to do designs. He's an amazing barber.
Yeah.
I mean, he actually works at a different shop. Right now.
Okay.
He decided it'd be a little bit better to be in a different area, but he's doing great, and yeah, he's amazing at designs. Definitely learned a lot from just like watching him do. Some of the stuff. That
stuff's just amazing.
The people who can do that stuff, like I commend them. Like they are amazing at what they do, and
that's like super in for middle schoolers.
Oh yeah, like the young kids, middle school,
yeah,
like
they get
high
like
school
a
kids.
Nike swoosh.
Did you see it a lot of school?
Oh yeah,
like when you take the kids to school.
My son's best friend always had a like different one,
and that stuff grows out like in a week, man.
Yeah,
so
it grows out.
Go do it again.
It's so impressive. It really is.
Yeah,
like I sit there and look at some like scrolling through Instagram
you have to do it
or
with
whatever.
Full-size clippers, right?
You have like the trimmers, and so you have like different sizes of blades to like get designs in there. But for honestly, like the people who do that, and then of course you see like there's guys on the internet that are doing like portraits, like you said, like Michael Jordan or whatever it may be.
It's insane.
I mean, a lightning bolt is pretty easy. Steps are pretty easy. But.
That's true.
Man. So where would you like to see all this take you, man? The whole barbering thing. I mean, do you have like a 5-year goal, or like do you see yourself like having a bunch of shops, or I mean, where do you see yourself with all this?
I don't know. I would say as of right now, just kind of take it as it is. Enjoy the moment. I think we definitely have talked about maybe expansion at some point, but we're not in any rush to expand. Mm-hmm. As far as multiple shops, maybe not. We'll kind of see when that road hits us.
Yeah.
And but as of right now, we just want, as far as our shop is concerned, we just want it full. Obviously, we want our barbers to be busy. We want our barbers to be making money and having a good time and feel like they belong in the shop, not just like we're just there just telling them what to do and what not to do, but feel like they have a say in what our business is going forth from here on out. And we just want clients to come in and feel like it's just like another part of, like you stop by your friend's house and you can just kind of hang out. And that's like the biggest thing for us is
that's awesome.
Definitely creating like that vibe, like that really
like
good
a great
vibe.
environment.
Mm-hmm, great environment for everybody.
What kind of stuff do you do when you're not working?
I actually just went golfing today, which was kind of fun.
Where'd you go golfing?
18 holes or 9 holes?
We just did 9 holes today.
Okay.
Over at Forestdale.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say let's talk for just a second, if that's okay. Just because I'm sure we have listeners. I'm not a golfer, so where would you tell someone who say first time to Salt Lake City? Where would you tell them to go golfing? Okay.
I mean, if you're looking for a 9 hole, I would definitely say Forestdale.
Okay.
It has 3 holes of every par, so 3 3s, 4s, and 5s. I would say if you're going for more of an 18, there's a lot of great golfing in Utah.
Oh yeah, no, I mean there's a ton of it out there.
It's
I
crazy.
just couldn't tell anybody.
And the cost of it is a lot cheaper than than to other states.
I wonder why that is.
Yeah.
What about Top Golf? I've
been to Top Golf. I haven't been to the one out here yet, but I've been to the one in Vegas.
That's just like a driving range, isn't it? Like just go up there and hit some balls, or what?
Yeah, it's kind of like bowling and like driving range at the same time. You can kind of like play games and have scores and stuff like that. And but it's a really cool place.
How long have you been golfing?
I would say this is like on a consistent basis. This is probably my 4th or 5th year.
Okay.
Still not that good.
Well,
but
hey, you get out there and
we get out there.
Golfing's hard, man.
You know those few shots that make you feel good. That's what keeps
it's worth
keeps
it.
you out there.
Okay.
It's definitely worth it. But
go ahead.
Oh,
Sorry.
I was just saying, as far as like 18 holes,
Yeah.
I would say Mountaindale is a really good one. That's like kind of halfway up Parley's, and they have 2 different courses that you can go to. That one's a really beautiful course. I would say Bountiful Ridge is a really beautiful course up there. A lot of elevation changes, and you're kind of up on the mountain, so you can kind of see over
Probably
the valley.
gorgeous.
It's absolutely gorgeous on the good days, of course.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, when it's kind of hazy, it's not the best, but those are 2 of probably my favorite courses that I played.
What about mini golf? Is there any good
Mini golf?
That is my jam. Let's talk
What's
mini golf.
the little mini golf courses out here?
You got that one
I don't remember what they're called.
down in Draper.
Oh,
it used to be
yeah,
by
what
where
is that
you
called?
lived. Boondocks.
Boondocks.
Oh,
That's what it is.
Boondocks.
Doesn't
That's what
Boondocks
it
have a
is.
little?
I was thinking of the
mini
other
golf?
place in South Jordan.
Yeah, I love mini golf.
Mulligans?
I want to say, is it Mulligans?
Mulligans?
Yeah.
Is there one over there? Mulligan?
Yeah.
What is that? Man, we got to hit up some mini golf.
Right?
I love it.
I can't remember if that's mini golf or not, but
I love some
It might be.
I
castle.
think it
don't
was.
know.
We went on a Tinder date there.
Good old Tinder. What about the most memorable concert or sporting event that you've ever been to, Eric? I bet you got a good one.
in Utah
Anywhere,
or in
just
general?
in life, man. I bet you have like a favorite concert that you've been to, right?
My favorite concert that I've been to. That, you know, somebody asked me that the other day, and I had to think about it for a long time.
Or sporting event. That's why we throw that in there too.
I would say probably the best sporting event that I've ever been to was the most memorable, at least, was I got to go see. I'm a big 49er fan.
Okay.
And so me and my dad went to go see the Niners play. They were playing the Chiefs. It was a few years ago, and it was the inaugural season of like the stadium down there in Santa Clara.
Okay.
In California, and probably like being there with my dad and like the Niners won and stuff like that. And it was the first time that they played Alex Smith after he got traded, after he went to the Kansas City Chiefs, and we won that game. And I would say probably that would be the most memorable sporting event that I've been to. As far as concert wise, oh boy, there's so many good ones out here.
Did you hit up a lot of live
to.
show out here in
I tried to.
concerts here in Salt Lake?
I tried to. Just went to a Joey Badass concert.
Okay.
He's an upcoming hip hop artist. He's amazing, and just kind of blew the show away. We were really impressed with that performance.
There's a decent hip hop scene here in Salt Lake.
It's growing.
Yeah.
It's growing for sure.
Do you get into any of the local hip hop here at all, or no?
A little bit. I don't really get.
Yeah.
My ear's not to the ground with a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
I would like to a lot more for sure.
I've had a lot of them through the podcast in the
Okay.
early days of I Am Salt Lake.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of Dusk. I don't know if you ever listened to Dusk. And then there was a guy, Atheist, that used to go by that name.
Okay.
Couple good names.
Yeah, there's
back
some
in the
good
day.
artists.
And then what about that James the Mormon? Or no, what's that guy? He's like in iTunes. I don't know. I've never.
Yeah. I've heard of
People
him.
are like, you should bring him on I Am Salt Lake because he's from anyway.
I personally never heard of him. I'm sure he's pretty all right, but
He's probably great.
Yeah.
Let's talk Salt Lake City as we kind of wrap this show up here. If someone was visiting Salt Lake City, say they're coming this weekend, and they're like, "What should we do, Eric?" What would you tell them to do?
oh man.
Or is that a tough one for you?
Nah, I mean that's pretty easy. I mean, there's so much to do out here. For
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah,
If you're a golfer, definitely go check out one of the golf
Golfing,
courses
yeah.
out here. If you like hikes, I mean, we have a multitude of hikes out here, anywhere from like in the City Creek, Ensign Peak, Living Room that are super close by. You can go up Parley's or any of the other the canyons out here. Definitely the food scene has gotten great out here, which has been fantastic. Like one of my favorite places to go that I always bring friends that are coming into town. I always take them to Whiskey Street.
Okay.
Ooh,
Their
yeah.
brunch is fucking phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like that one's always a go-to. So is their lunch and dinner. Proper is amazing. We like our little local spot, Murphy's. They're always
Murphy's good.
they're always good to us.
Good,
They actually have a pretty good food menu as well. Staff is great. The new one that just came out that I'm really stoked about, that I absolutely love, is that Pretty Bird. You
Okay.
guys been to that
Haven't
Pretty Bird
been
yet?
there yet. Haven't been there.
No, but everyone says the chicken is great.
It's like
yeah.
a Tennessee style hot chicken, and it's on point.
I've heard it was like
That's for
really
sure.
hard to get into for a minute there. Is it just 'cause
There's a little bit of a line, but honestly,
Yeah.
the line goes quick,
yeah.
so it's not too bad.
What would
You
you
gotta have a little patience.
What would you change about Salt Lake? If you could change one or two things, Eric, is there something you would change here?
Yeah, I would say probably the two main things. One, the inversion.
Yeah, well,
Get
yeah.
rid of that crap.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
I'm telling you, we need a big fan. That's all.
just
That's
blow it
my
out of the
input.
atmosphere.
That's Chrissy's
Blow it
idea.
over the mountains,
She's
you
gonna
guys.
start going to city council meetings, guys. Has anybody thought about a fan?
It's really easy. Okay, keep going.
No, I think the only other thing that I would say would probably be, the liquor laws.
Yeah.
I think you guys have heard that multiple times, and everybody says that, but that would probably be like the only other thing, because it's such a great city. Definitely Salt Lake and like Park City area, we're definitely becoming a lot more progressive and growing as a city, and it's amazing seeing a lot of transplants out here and just like enjoying them. Myself, I thought I was only going to be coming here for 2 to 3 years when I first moved out here.
Just for school.
And I was going to head back to California and live out there. But then here I am 10 and a half years later. And I love it.
What's the barber scene out in your area in California? Could you do good, I guess, out there? Or,
Yeah.
Probably same as here?
As long as you have a good personality, a good product, and a good business plan for everything, and you're in a good area, good location, you can make it anywhere.
Yeah.
For sure.
Let's actually, as we kind of wrap this up here, let's talk about how people can like get in touch with you, how they can get you, book an appointment with you if they want to come in there and get your haircut.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Let's run down all that stuff there, like all that good stuff.
I would say you can either go online to saltlakebarberco.com, or you can give us a call. Our number is 385-261-2196, and we're on 10 East, 800 South.
So stop
downtown
by.
Salt Lake. Stop by, say hello.
Say you heard him on I Am Salt Lake's podcast. Say, hey, you know what? I heard you, Eric, on the podcast.
Bring him some Pretty Bird.
I'm bring some.
Barbers always love gifts from their clients. Just saying.
That's actually,
That's how you get a good haircut. Bribery.
I should get better with that, man. Bringing some gifts in there for my haircuts. But I don't know. So yeah, go in there, get a haircut. One thing I love, okay, and I'm just going to say this, it's easy. Like you said, saltlakebarberco.com. Go in there and book a haircut. That was one of the things I hated about getting a haircut, man. Just like you go in there, I'm going to be here for 2 hours waiting.
Like you can't call ahead and book an appointment.
Yeah, that's definitely the old school way. Some shops still do that, but when I was going to get my haircut, that's what I was doing. On my days off, I would go sit in the barbershop for an hour and a half or so and waiting for my barber.
Oh man.
Just because, that person's busy, so that person's good.
Life's too short
and that's
right
kind
now.
of, especially like in like the African American and Latino community, like that's a big thing. Like you go to the barbershop, you hang out for the day, and you just shoot the shit until your guy's up, and then you get your haircut, and then you go home.
Would you say though, by being able to book them online, you're able to stay busier? Or do you think you're able to work with more clients? I guess you can only cut so many haircuts in a day.
I wouldn't say busier, but it just keeps us more consistent.
Okay.
And so, it's guaranteed people. We guarantee people, appointments. And of course we do walk-ins if we can accommodate them. So it guarantees it's better for us and for the client, because some people, they're coming off on their lunch break.
Yeah.
And
they don't have an hour to sit and wait.
Yeah. They don't have an hour or two to kind of just hang out. And so they have their appointment at that time. They can get in, get out, go back to work, go back to their daily lives without having to worry about anything.
This is so random. There is a salon barber bus that sometimes comes by our office.
Salon barber bus?
It's called Dapper something. Have you ever thought about doing that, going to an office and being like, I'm going to be here for an hour?
That would be such
It's an interesting.
It would seem like you wouldn't make any money, because
Maybe
especially if you
wouldn't
only
make
go for
any
an
money.
hour. You're going to cut one hair.
That's probably
a couple.
true.
You probably have to go for like
couple hours.
a few hours, or like a half a day or something like that.
But it's like, that seems like it'd be really handy.
The
barber
bus.
It's definitely
bus,
always
man.
a thought.
Why not, man? Maybe an old motorhome or something, old RV.
That'd be cool. There are barbers like out east and some other states that have that mobile barbershop.
Yeah.
And it's really
That's
cool. It's a
interesting.
really cool
It's a cool concept.
You probably you probably wouldn't have to pay as much rent, right? You could find somebody a main place to park it, right? That would be cool with you. Maybe give them
almost like
bucks.
a food truck.
Yeah, like a food truck.
Like a food truck.
But then occasionally
Park it at
move
a
around,
KOA.
they have to follow you on Twitter just to see where you're going to be at for the day. I don't know. That'd be annoying. Can you imagine with you guys, say you guys were to do that and I signed up, to get my haircut at 10. It's like, oh, well, today I'm up here in Idaho. You got to come up here. We're up here in Ogden to get your haircut.
That's a solid point.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for us, we do not conventions, but like festivals.
Oh, okay.
So we've done a couple car shows that we've done there
cool.
and cut, or some charity events that we've
Here in Utah?
Mm-hmm.
Really? Man, that's a cool idea.
Kind of getting into some of those things is kind of cool.
A semi-mobile studio.
We have a truck.
Yeah, a truck.
Okay, well,
and some chairs.
That's what that is.
And our tools. And
That's
so
a
we
mobile
just do that.
studio.
Dude, I'm a heck of a conversation. very honored to have you in here on the podcast. Very, I love what you guys are doing. I got to kind of gradually get through all the guys at your shop. You know, you got how many people you got down there? 6 people now?
We have 5 people.
5 people.
Yep. And they're all fantastic people.
Yeah, great guys. And so, you know, as a, and I'm not just saying that because you're here. I mean, go down and check it out. If you want a good place to get a haircut in Salt Lake City, I mean, some place I get a little intimidated. I don't get that at your shop. You guys are easygoing, you know, you're easy to talk to. Anything, I don't know. Let's wrap this up here.
I just had a great conversation.
Anything else you want to ask him, Chrissy? We're good? Or
give us one piece of life advice for our listeners.
One piece of life advice. I would say, as yourself, just kind of don't worry about what anybody else is doing in life. Just kind of worry about what you and your own are doing in life, and just keep grinding and keep striving for greatness. I mean, there was this one quote that always kind of resonated for me from that I got from Denzel Washington, the man. Let me try to think of it, how it goes. It goes, without commitment, you cannot start, but that without consistency, you will never finish.
I love it.
Nice.
And just like, it's a little snippet, it's a little bit longer, but just that little snippet is always kind of stuck in my head. So it's just always taught me to keep pushing, keep challenging myself.
Yeah.
And no matter if it's uncomfortable or not, you know, because if you're uncomfortable with it and you're not willing to take that leap,
you're not going to
go anywhere.
Yeah.
You're not going to grow.
Yeah. So. You have to be uncomfortable sometimes. I love it.
Perfect place to end the show. Thank you so much, Eric.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You bet. And I always say, let's catch up down the road, right?
Many thanks again to Eric Stone from Salt Lake Barber Company for coming on this episode of the podcast. You can head on over to our website, iamsaltlake.com/334 for all the links to get in touch with him and find out more about the Salt Lake Barber Company.
All right. Before we end this episode today, I do want to mention one thing. I know a lot of you listening right now are looking to possibly start your own podcast. I bet a lot of you didn't know that I can actually help you get your podcast launched and up and going. So hit me up, send me a message, let's chat. I want to find out what you have going on. I can help you with all different aspects of your podcasting experience, whether that's from actually starting in the beginning, getting your podcast launched, or if you have an existing podcast, let me help you kind of take that to the next level a little bit. Shoot me an email. My email address is chris@iamsaltlake.com. Let me know what you have going on and let's talk.
And many thanks again to our sponsors for this episode, Five Wives Vodka and Blip Billboards.
And thanks to Access Co-working Space for their hospitality. And most of all, many thanks to you, the listener, for coming back episode after episode. You all have a great week. Get out and enjoy the city, support local, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Good night, Grammy.